Welcome to the fourth part of a five-part series, Racer X previewing Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship for 2016. Yes, it's part 4 of 5. This episode, we're talking specifically about the riders that were rookies last year and are sophomores. For those that didn't go to regular school, that's what the second year is. You become a sophomore. So if you're watching this show saying, Racer X didn't even talk about Ryan Dungey, we did on a different show. Thank you. The sophomore list is led by Cole Seeley, who won a race last year as a rookie, finished third in points. This is Cole Seeley, who 5 years ago, I don't think anyone was predicting would even be a top pro in the sport at all, let alone winning 450 Supercross races. This is amazing what this guy has done.
It really is. It's truly amazing. And he missed some of the season, the off season with his shoulder surgery. But we're going to show a graphic here that kind of scares me. But for now, I'm high on Cole Seeley, man. I really think this kid's going to take a leap. He won a race last year. I think the bike, the team, I think Cole is a tremendous Supercross rider. He's got the ability to go the same speed for 20 laps, take the same line. He's a very technical guy. I think he's one of those dudes, too, that can balance the seriousness of racing with having fun off the bike for training. Yeah, I'm buying Cole Seeley stock. Sell it to me. Give it to me all. I think Cole Seeley takes a big leap this year.
And you sold me on the graphic. I'm going to show the stats here right now. There's 15 guys that have won races in the last 25 years as rookies.
Yeah.
So
I wish I wouldn't have saw this before talking about Seeley, but
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Let's see if you still want to buy the stock. So he's the 15th rookie in the last 25 years to win a race. Of the 14 previous, only 3 times out of those 14 did they win more races the second year. They either won the same amount or less the next year. 11 out of the 14 times. Wow. That includes Ken Roxon, who won 2 as a rookie, and only 2 last year. So a little dangerous turf for Seeley and a lot of these other guys to see if they can follow up. But let's dive a little deeper into the discovery of Cole Seeley's talent. We're lucky to be joined by David Pingree, who actually was managing the team for Troy Lee Designs Honda when they signed him. But Ping, did you even see this level of success coming from Cole Seeley?
Cole Seeley. Love me some Cole Seeley. Back when we signed him in 2009, we really didn't know how well he would do. Jeff Ward is the guy who actually brought him to us, and he was a fill-in rider for a couple of guys we had that were hurt. We spent a lot of time initially in that preseason working with Cole, trying to get him to just get through some basic issues he was having on the track, too much rear brakes, getting the rear wheel around, some things like that. And over the course of that next year, the next couple of years, his progression was incredible. He picked up on things Will Hahn was doing. Pretty soon he was racing with Will, and eventually his first podium in San Diego, he actually beat Will. So he had a very steep learning curve from the beginning. The talent's always been obvious, and guys like Jeff Ward are spotting it out and bringing him to us. So it was pretty obvious he had it. Coming into this sophomore year, this is where things get a little tricky for Cole. Because what happens with most sophomores, as we saw in that graphic, they start out strong, but then they have a bit of a sag. And you don't want that. We saw that with a lot of riders in the past. And if Cole does that again this year, man, it's just not looking good. You know what I mean? We want to keep that line going up. So really hoping Cole has a great year. I'm a big fan. Cole, go get him.
Great point Payne makes there. You saw in that graphic, the third year a lot of the guys come back up. It's that second season where they have a bit of a slump. So JT, what do you think of Seeley's chances this year?
I think we'll see a lot of the same from Seeley. I think he probably will win another race. The question for me is I don't think he can duplicate that third place in points. I think a few things went his way with Kennard. Stu wasn't there. So that'll be the question. Can he improve upon his third place in points? I don't see that happening, but he will be a factor. The guy has talent. His learning curve has been tremendous, one of the best we've seen in recent memory. So I think the talent is there. He obviously gained a lot of confidence winning that race and running up front. So I think he'll come out strong.
Why are you wincing?
I just would not be surprised to see multiple race wins from Cole Seeley and a third place in the points again. Sure, why not? Why not a runner-up position?
Whoa!
I'm telling you, this kid's got it.
Going big on the 14. Now let's switch to his rival from the 250 class that moved up with him on the 450s last year, and it's so hard to pick a difference. One week you're thinking Seeley's the next guy, but Jason Anderson has had great moments as well, and we've heard great things about what Anderson's doing in preseason training. He looked very good at the Monster Energy Cup. One of the keys for Anderson is Husky guys don't want to talk about that their bikes are basically KTMs, but they are. And he was on the old style KTM. Now he gets the leap that Dungey took a year ago with this new bike. That's got to make a big difference because it did for the KTM guys, JT.
Well, I think we've seen that both with Jason Anderson and with Christophe Purcell. So obviously the bike has improved. There's no question about that. I think Jason Anderson has a great chance of being in this championship contention. He's on the same program as Ryan Dungey. There was a huge improvement. He got the whole shot 3 times in a row at the Monster Cup. So I do think he will be up there. I think we'll see him win his first race this year. And if he can stay healthy, I think he's a dark horse to win this thing.
Yeah, but JT, don't you feel like, I absolutely agree with you, he's going to win a race, there's no doubt, maybe a couple. Too many sketchy decisions by Anderson out there on the track, too many moves that left him on the ground or left someone on the ground, a kid sort of learning his way, and too many mistakes for me to be a title contender, but fast.
But I think he can learn from that. I think being around Aldon Baker for a full year now, we all know that the mental side is so key for Aldon Baker. It's almost as important as the training side for what he brings to the table. So I think that changes. I think you see him making better decisions. I think you see him clean that side of his game up, and I think it makes him a legitimate title threat.
Well, I've talked to two people who have been down at the Baker's factory this offseason, and they've both told me that Jason Anderson is going faster than Ryan Dungey in preseason training. So I've got a couple people that are telling me that Anderson is on fire right now. Will he keep his jersey tucked in?
I doubt it. What's impressive is that he's actually still there. Around this time last year, people were saying there's no way Anderson's going to handle that load of hard work from Aldon Baker. He's into it for 18 months or so now. He's obviously proven he can do it. The next guy we want to talk about is Blake Baggett, and here's where we put the focus on our man Jason Thomas, who had predicted on on your show or on a podcast. What was the bet exactly that you had made?
I may have had a lack of faith in Blake Baggett's 450 Supercross skills. And I must say, to preface this, he surprised me. The bet was that if he landed on the podium at a indoor Supercross race, barring Daytona, I would walk home from said event. That was the bet.
Wherever the event was.
I did win the bet.
You did. He did not podium.
I did win the bet, but I have to...
You were nervous.
He made me nervous. He rode much better than I thought he would. I still won the bet, but he was better than I thought. I have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, fourth was in the end the best he did at a regular race, and he did get that podium at Daytona, so excellent job exiting yourself on that one. But there's pressure on all these guys now because all three of them did well last year. Baggett exceeded expectations, Anderson at podium, Seeley had a win. But that was the learning year, that just go out there and learn. Now there's pressure on, and you said it yourself, JT, on last year's show, 2016 is where the teams are going to count on them to actually deliver results and not just learn. This is what you said last year.
Such a rookie with this thing. Much like me with this stupid copy machine, there's a few rookies coming into the series this year. The big thing I would tell these guys, manage expectations. This is their year to learn. No one expects them to win a championship. They want some decent results, yes. But next year is the year that everybody's going to turn to them and look for them to win races. So go out, improve, learn your bike, learn the situation, come into 2016 firing.
So there you go. That's what you said. 2016 is going to be where the teams are counting on them. Are they going to be able to come through? What are Baggett's chances this year?
See, I think Baggett is in a fortunate position because he has Stu back. He has Roxon, who is clearly, maybe not, he's not the factory Suzuki guy, but he takes a lot of Suzuki focus off of him. So yes, he's going to be expected to perform at a higher level than he did in 2015, but I don't think he has that title pressure necessarily on him. So I still feel like he's in a good spot. I feel like he's not going in with everybody, all eyes on him per se. So I think he'll do well. He obviously surprised me last year. It wouldn't surprise me to see him get his first podium in an actual indoor Supercross this year.
Will you walk home? Is that over now?
No, I would not. I would have taken that bet back had I been able to midway through the season.
I think it's going to be interesting, Weege, because I don't think in a tortoise and a hare scenario, Seeley and Anderson have more flashes of brilliance. They have more speed than Blake Baggett. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of 17 races, maybe Baggett's ahead because of these mistakes these other guys make. So it could be interesting to see at the end of the year, can Blake sort of step up his speed? We'll see.
My fear is that Baggett talked over and over last year about it's a building process. I'm just going to be steady Eddie and not get hurt, make all the races. I think this is the year that they decide to maybe try to go for it a little bit more, and that could be bad. So I'm not sure if you're going to see Baggett make it through all the rounds like he did last year. He didn't even really have any close calls. I'm a little worried about that. He said he wants to try to hang it out more. That leads to problems.
And we hate hearing this, but actually some news here. Just been handed a piece of paper, a press release from the Yoshimura Suzuki team, and Baggett has gone down in the whoops testing at the Suzuki track. And now he's going to be out. Sounds pretty bad. The injury, shoulders and ribs, and the timetable for his return is not set, but this is the risk we're talking about with all of these riders who are trying to step up their game. Since we don't really know how long Baggett will be out, we'll keep talking about him in this show, but I think it fits for everyone on this list that these types of things can happen.
And on that same level, that has been the issue with the fourth sophomore completely. We can work with speed, we said to Dean Wilson, but you have to be on the track to be able to work with it. I don't think anyone's in the danger zone, to me, going into this year more than Dean Wilson. This is absolute make or break. He's got a great ride, great team at Red Bull KTM, but man, if he has another bad season with injuries, I don't know what comes next.
Well, you know, the one thing you didn't want to see from Dean at the Monster Cup was a crash and an injury. And okay, he didn't get injured per se, but he crashed out JT in that last moto. And you're like, come on, Dean, just string some races together. And even at the Monster Cup, he couldn't do it. Now, I'm a Dean Wilson fan. I think he's got the build to be a successful motocrosser in the 450 class. Taller dude. I think he's got the skills and everything else. But JT, you know as a racer, and our own David Pingree knows, it's just tough to get going when you end up on the ground all the time.
Yeah, the one encouraging sign I've seen from him, though, is he's had some big get-offs recently. At the Monster Cup, he had a big crash in practice. He had a big crash in the final main event as well. And he got up. He was able to get up and continue
Yeah, but you're talking
on.
about this as a skill the guy can get
Well,
up from a crash.
I do think that's kind of a skill because every racer's going to crash.
Right.
Crashing is inevitable. Being able to withstand that crash, get up off the ground, and get to the next race, that's not everyone does that.
Right.
And that's something that Dino's really struggled with, whether it's a knee or a shoulder or whatever it is. But he's had some big get-offs. He's gotten up. He's shown that his body can withstand these big crashes. You have to do that, regardless if it's during practice during the week, at the races, in practice, the main events. Crashes are going to happen, and it's all about longevity and this season is a marathon, and for a rider who has missed multiple races and seasons, he's got to be able to stay in it.
I think a top 10 in the points, 15 or of 17 rounds competed in at least, and a top 10 in points, victory, check mark, move on, Dean Wilson.
But here's what I'm worried about for Wilson. KTM is really built into a powerhouse organization. Now they've moved up Marvin Musquin. You know how temperamental all these teams are. If Dungey's killing it and Musquin's killing it, maybe Millsap, Short, Brayton, some combination of the BTO guys are doing well. If Wilson is struggling again, or if he gets hurt again, or if he's merely just top 10ing, you know how these teams are. They start moving in the other direction, and you can't even rule out. It would not be impossible that if Ken Roczen has a rough year, I don't think it's impossible that he could be back with KTM someday. I could see them starting to have eyes for somebody else if Wilson doesn't have a great year, and then that all starts snowballing all season long. I get worried about that.
Well, like a lot of guys, JT, his deal's up. So there's going to be major shuffling of chips.
I think he may be in the toughest spot because not only does he have to stay healthy for the whole season and prove he can do that, but he's also got to show the flash of speed. He's also got to just blow people's minds with this ability that got him hired in the first place. So it's a really, really tough scenario to pull off both of those things.
According to you two, we can work with speed. You're not worried about Dean's initial finishes. You just want to see flashes of speed.
But I don't
what
think
you've
that's
been saying.
necessarily the case anymore.
Oh,
We've seen the
things
flash
have
of
changed
speed
now. I
before.
didn't know
He's
that.
got to be able to still have that, but also stay healthy. He's got to have what Ryan Dungey has, what Ryan Villapoto had, what these guys had, speed and staying healthy. That's what it's going to take to get him his next contract.
I didn't know when he showed speed at Daytona on Chad Reed's 450 that a whole year and a half later he'd barely have any races finished after that. Now it's getting a little worrying, yes.
But the working with speed is what got him this contract he's in.
That's right.
That was our point at the time.
That's what they're hiring.
I don't want to make any off-handed suggestions here, but maybe he goes back to being Canadian.
Is that what you suggest?
Things are going well for him.
Yeah. Okay. So with Wilson, that's what he's up against. He has to prove he can be both healthy and fast at the same time because KTM doesn't need to wait on him anymore. They've got an investment in Dungey. They've got an investment in Musquin. I'm sure they won't mind having a 3-rider team like they have, but most of the factory teams have 2-rider 450 efforts. So we'll see if Wilson can earn the spot and stay with the team in 2017. Now Matthes and JT are out. We're going to bring Ping back in. And since we're in the Morgantown office, look who works here. Davey Coombs is here. Yeah.
I'm here most of the time.
Okay. Let's talk sophomores. You already weighed in on Seeley. We still have Anderson and Baggett and Wilson to talk about. You and I were in the hotel this morning before we came here, and you said, man, big year for Dean Wilson. It is a big year.
It's a big, and he's finally physically, I think, in a good spot, but the hard part for him is going to be the mental game this year. Because like you said, he's got eyeballs on him every single race. Every time he's on the track, they're going to be kind of assessing, is he worth the money? What are we going to do next year? Because it starts earlier and earlier. Who are we going to get for 2017? How's that going to play out? So he's got to just clear his mind and go out and ride his motorcycle the way he knows how. If he starts getting caught up in his head, he's going to be in trouble.
And Baggett, a great year last year compared to, I think, what people thought. the best finish was a 4th at the regular races and a 3rd at Daytona.
He's surprised. I thought Baggett would be off the pace quite a bit in Supercross and then really shine outdoors. That's kind of been his model in his early 250 years. So I thought he would kind of follow suit with that, and he really was just steady all year long. He was kind of just off the radar, but he was doing great. It was a great season for him. I don't see how you could call it anything other than that as a rookie season. As he mentioned to you, he tried to just play it safe, stay healthy, get to all the rounds, and he did that. He did exactly what their plan was. So if this year their plan is to step it up and shine a little bit more, I'm anxious to see that. I think he's got the potential and a great team behind him. When you start talking about Jason Anderson, I think Jason and Cole are going to be probably your 2 star players out of this group, in my opinion. I think Jason didn't get that win last year, so he's not falling into that rough category that Cole does of following up the rookie season.
That's right.
He's still hungry for that win, and I think he's going to come out swinging. And I'm really excited to see how Jason does. I think it's going to be a good year.
Going into last year, I don't think anyone knew for sure that these guys were knockout hits. You know, you knew when Ryan Villapoto or Dungey or Stewart or Reed or Carmichael moved up, they were going to be good. I don't know if people knew what to expect from this group, and they actually really performed well.
Well, the weird thing for me is it's been a long time since an AMA 250 motocross champion actually got as far as a Supercross championship. I think Dungey's the last guy to do it. Yeah. And if you look at Dean Wilson, Trey Kennard, Blake Baggett, Eli Tomac, these guys have had a rash of injuries adjusting to the 450s. I don't know why that is, but I do know that there's a group of kids coming up that's going to add even more pressure, and I think that's why, I'll look at it from the other direction. I do think Dean Wilson is on the hot seat. I think that it's been a long time since he's been able to string together a month of finishes, let alone a series. I think that Blake Baggett is in a good position because Suzuki is preoccupied with the return of James Stewart and, of course, what they have going on with RCH Racing, where they have, not only Roxon but Brock Tickle. Conceivably, you could get 4 or 5 Suzukis in the top 10 of a Supercross main event, which is bizarre because there are some Supercrosses where there were no Suzukis in the 250 class. Yeah. As far as Cole Seely goes, I think that he's got the Jeremy McGrath type natural gift for Supercross. I don't know if that comes from his BMX background or what, but I think he's on the right team. He's in the right place, and I don't think he has a lot of pressure on him. And as far as Jason Anderson goes, I think he's in the best position. Like Steve was saying, that Husqvarna he's on is going to be much better. He now has Porcel there to help him. I don't know what the dynamic is between Christoph and Jason Anderson, but it can't hurt to have 2 guys that come at Supercross from such different aspects. Porcel is just a purely skill, and Jason has had to kind of learn it as he goes, but that's going to be a really tough team. And I checked the record books. No Husqvarna rider has ever won a Supercross in the Premier class. Only Travis Preston. No, Travis Preston won in the 125 class back in Houston. I think you were in that race. No, that was Langston.
I was just much further down.
Yeah. Okay. But I think it's going to be a big year for Husqvarna in both classes. I think that we really do have 6 factory teams now.
You know what's going to be a great battle within the battle too? If you look at Cole Seely and Jason Anderson, they fought tooth and nail for that West Coast region Supercross title. Yep. And I wouldn't say that they're enemies, but they definitely have a healthy competition between the 2 of them. And last year, I think Cole got the better of him probably, got the Supercross win, maybe had a better season. So it'll be interesting to watch how those 2 match up again this year.
What I like about it as you bench race for these races, I bet you everyone has their opinion watching these shows on how you think Dungey and Roxon, say, line up together, or what you think James Stewart or Chad Reed's going to do. When you start getting to the heart of the order like this, you folks at home, you tell us, who do you think's better between Seely and Anderson and Wilson and Baggett and Trey Kennard, and what's Millsap's going to do? It gets really hard to predict this part of the order. These guys can be really good, or the seasons can be really disappointing, and that's what makes it so exciting. We also want to give a shout out to the folks at Fell Motorsports for bringing Supercross back to the Foxborough, Massachusetts area. Boston, really. They did race there back in the day, but that was the old building.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I think Jean-Michel Bale won the last time at the old Foxborough Stadium, and I think Bailey won one time, clinched the Supercross championship there. And one of our readers sent us a picture of the trophy that he found at a pawn shop in California, which is in the next issue of the magazine. It'd be great to get that trophy and take it back to Foxborough with David Bailey. So, and also Steve Matthes would be glad to know that they just released the track for Anaheim and over-under bridge. Round 1, Good times.
Yeah, the start is actually under the over-under bridge. You'll see the graphic. It'll make sense to you. So go to supercrosslive.com for all the information. We had a lot to talk about with these sophomores. Who knows how it's going to go? You're just going to have to watch the races to find out.